想到我孙太颠沛一世，竟还能有个落脚的地方。
在当年，我真只做个寻常木匠，此生是否便是这般光景？如烟丝浮云，不过是因果相续，种因得果，因成果起。10年春秋，落雪村与我的家乡很相似。若这平凡烟火里，我的道心竟愈发圆融通透。10年春秋，弹指即逝，生死轮转。
Renegade Immortal, Episode 139. Wang Lin begins his second mortal transformation. Wang Lin initiates his second transformation into a mortal. He seals his cultivation and becomes a carpenter to prolong the life of his son Wang Ping. Sun Tai dies and Wang Lin personally attends his funeral. With his ascendant cultivation, Wang Lin sweeps across Thousand Illusion Star, slaying the Illusion clan's ancestor. Huan Wuqing forcing all heroes of Thousand Illusion Star to bow their heads. As a second step great cultivator, Huan Wu regarded Liu Mei as a furnace and treated Wang Lin as a thorn in his side. He believed that by devouring Liu Mei's Thousand Illusion ruthless Tao, he could suppress Wang Lin. But Wang Lin showed no mercy. With a single strike of the Slay Luo art, he shattered the formation and using the power of a San Mo loose demon, he completely annihilated Huan Wuqing. After this battle, Wang Lin's name shook the entire Luotian Star domain, and no one on Thousand Illusion Star dared oppose him again. Yet standing atop mountains of corpses and seas of blood after winning every battle, there was not a trace of joy in Wang Lin's eyes, only deep desolation. Before her death, Liu Mei left Wang Lin a pill capable of dispelling resentment, and also the greatest burden of his life, his own son, Wang Ping. From before he was even born, this child had been used as a tool for Liu Mei's revenge. Refined into a resentful infant, doomed to never reincarnate, his entire body wrapped in overwhelming resentment. Even though Wang Lin used heaven-defying methods to reconstruct his body, one cruel truth remained. If Wang Ping came into contact with even a trace of cultivation's spiritual energy, his soul would immediately disperse, and his lifespan would not exceed 100 years. For the first time in his life of defying the heavens, Wang Lin felt powerless. He could destroy powerful enemies, overturn sects, and even challenge the heavenly Tao, yet he could not protect his own son. Thus, he made a decision that the entire cultivation world could not understand. He abandoned his cultivation, his killing intent, and all conflicts of the immortal path, transforming into a mortal and taking Wang Ping with him, beginning the most heartbreaking and legendary second mortal transformation in the story. He brought Wang Ping into seclusion in Fallen Leaf Village on Ran Yun Star, becoming an ordinary carpenter. Every day he carved wooden toys for Wang Ping, taught him to read and write, watched him grow up, marry, have children, and eventually age and die. For 73 years, Wang Lin was nothing more than an ordinary father. When village children bullied Wang Ping, he never used cultivation to retaliate, only protecting his child in the way of mortals. When Wang Ping saw others cultivating and repeatedly begged his father to teach him, Wang Lin, though his heart was torn apart, could only refuse, earning misunderstanding and resentment from his son. He bore all the pain alone. No one knew that this old carpenter carving wood in the courtyard every day was slowly erasing the resentment within Wang Ping, prolonging his life and preserving his ordinary existence. Wang Lin and young Wang Ping had already lived in seclusion for 5 years. This peaceful village resembled Wang Lin's hometown from memory. A teenage boy from the Zhou family often gathered children to tell stories, speaking of immortal mist atop Kilian Peak that could strengthen the body. He claimed to have inhaled it once and never fallen ill since. The children listened with shining eyes. He even mentioned Wang Ping, saying that if the mist hadn't disappeared 5 years ago, he should have tried it. Wang Ping, only 5 or 6 years old, had always been frail, his face pale, his body smaller than his peers. Hearing this, his eyes filled with longing. At night, when the village fell silent, Wang Ping slept soundly. Only then would Wang Lin sit beside him, lightning glowing at his brow. With a gentle touch, the lightning entered Wang Ping's body, drawing out strands of black resentment and crushing them in his hand. The boy's sleeping face gradually gained a hint of color. Years passed quietly. Sun Tai, whose life force was nearly exhausted, stayed nearby and deeply cared for Wang Ping. He once asked Wang Lin how long he would accompany the child. After a long silence, Wang Lin replied, "Until the end of his life." Sun Tai tried to persuade him, saying Wang Ping had great talent, and with Wang Lin's cultivation, he could have a smooth path in cultivation. But Wang Lin firmly refused twice. He would never allow Wang Ping to cultivate, not in this lifetime. He named him Ping Peace, hoping he would live a safe and ordinary life, marry, have children, and pass his days in peace. Time flowed like seasons. Another 5 years passed. Snow covered the land early that winter. Sun Tai grew increasingly frail, spending his days gazing at the sky, living in memories. Wang Ping, now 10 years old, was still somewhat frail but healthy in appearance and beloved by the villagers. On a snowy morning, Wang Ping hid in Sun Tai's courtyard, refusing to go home. It was because Aunt Zhang had come again to arrange a marriage for Wang Lin. Over 3 years, she had come 12 times. Many women admired Wang Lin's gentle temperament, but Wang Ping resisted, strongly fearing a stepmother. Wang Lin smiled and promised he would never remarry. Relieved, Wang Ping happily drank his daily medicine and said earnestly that when he grew up, he would stay by his father's side and care for him. Life remained peaceful. Apart from secretly removing resentment from Wang Ping each night, Wang Lin never used any divine abilities again. Yet within this ordinary life, his understanding of life in the cycle of life and death deepened, gradually evolving toward the Tao of karma, an opportunity countless cultivators could only dream of. But Wang Lin would rather give it up than exchange it for time with his son. 6 more years passed. That autumn, Sun Tai reached the end of his life. At his deathbed, only Wang Lin and his son remained by his side. Wang Ping, now 16, looked increasingly like Liu Mei, yet carried Wang Lin's clarity in his eyes. He had long sensed that Sun Tai harbored a deep, instinctive respect toward his father. Wang Lin looked at the faintly breathing Sun Tai and spoke calmly, saying that the promise he made back then would definitely be fulfilled. Sun Tai had reached the end of his life. Looking at Wang Lin and his son by his bedside, a peaceful smile appeared on his face. The last trace of his lifespan slowly burned within him. Upon hearing Wang Lin's promise, he gazed deeply at him. For a moment it felt as though he had returned to the Renegade Immortal realm from hundreds of years ago. Scenes flashed before his eyes one after another until they finally settled on Wang Lin's aged yet tranquil face. He softly sighed at the fleeting nature between life and death, and with a smile closed his eyes. The deathly aura around him surged to its peak in an instant, then completely dissipated in the next moment. Wang Ping watched as Grandpa's son passed away forever, unable to hold back his tears. Wang Lin gently patted his head, his eyes calm, having already seen through life and death. Sun Tai was buried in the back mountain of Fallen Moon Village. The tombstone was carved by Wang Ping himself, signed adopted grandson Wang Ping. As early as when Wang Ping was 12, Sun Tai had accepted him as his adopted grandson. Wang Lin did not stop it though. Between him and Sun Tai, they always treated each other as equals. Just as Wang Ping had sensed, Sun Tai had always harbored a deep instinctive reverence toward Wang Lin. Sun Tai's body was cremated by Wang Lin, and his ashes were stored in a storage bag. This was a promise he made to the deceased. 1 year after Sun Tai's passing in the courtyard, under the setting sun, Wang Lin carved wood while teaching Wang Ping. To carve, you must put your heart into each cut. Every stroke must be etched into memory, only then can you be called a true craftsman. Wang Ping followed his father's example, carving earnestly. When night fell and lamps were lit, he finally asked the question buried deep in his heart. Why wouldn't his father allow him to learn the immortal arts left behind by Sun Tai? And was his father also an immortal? Wang Lin admitted he was merely a cultivator, and clearly told him that the path of cultivation was not suitable for him. This was the first time in 16 years that Wang Ping questioned his father's decision. But Wang Lin's attitude was unwavering. He firmly rejected it once again. Wang Ping ultimately lowered his head and accepted it, though his back carried deep loneliness. Wang Lin told him that aside from cultivation, he could give him everything else in the world. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye. At 19, Wang Ping had grown into a tall, handsome young man, while Wang Lin had aged further over those 19 years. He packed their belongings and took Wang Ping away from Fallen Moon Village. The villagers came to see them off, including many girls with reluctant expressions. The Zhou family's second daughter, eyes red, asked if he would return. Wang Ping simply said he probably wouldn't. She cried out words of resentment and ran away. As they traveled, Wang Ping complained that girls were troublesome, but also admitted that seeing her cry had stirred some reluctance in his heart. Hearing this, Wang Lin turned back and smiled at his son. Across the landscapes of Ran Yun Star, the figures of father and son could often be seen. They traversed famous mountains and great rivers, climbing even the steepest peaks. Over 3 years of mountain climbing, Wang Ping's frail body gradually gained strength. Each time he stood atop a peak, gazing at heaven and earth, his state of mind was purified and elevated. Though still a mortal, through overcoming countless hardships, he developed an unyielding spirit. Wang Lin never taught him any cultivation techniques, yet through this method, he gave him the greatest nourishment to his soul. After conquering the mountains, they drifted along rivers, then sailed into the vast sea. During 5 years at sea, Wang Ping witnessed lightning striking the ocean giant whales as large as villages, and mirage-like illusions upon the water. The vastness of mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas completely transformed his state of mind. Though he still possessed no cultivation, his heart had already grown vast enough to contain heaven and earth. Wang Lin's journey across the world was to disperse the resentment within Wang Ping's soul. Pills and techniques could only suppress it temporarily, but the resentment had already fused into his very soul. Only through inner purification could it slowly be erased. After 8 years of travel, only the final trace of resentment remained, something no technique or pill could remove. It could only be erased upon entering reincarnation. That year, Wang Ping was 27. He had long shed his youthful immaturity, leaving only calmness and determination. Father and son returned to their homeland, ascending Kilian Peak near the village. After a passing storm, a brilliant rainbow appeared. A cultivator flew past on a sword. This was the first time Wang Ping had ever seen a true immortal. His heart was deeply shaken. Once again, he asked Wang Lin to teach him cultivation. Wang Lin simply looked at the fading rainbow and silently shook his head. On the way down, Wang Ping said nothing. In a carriage heading to a nearby city, he raised the request again, asking why his father kept refusing. Wang Lin only turned to look at him, calmly saying nothing. In the end, Wang Ping lowered his head and quietly accepted. Inside the carriage, Wang Lin gazed at the passing scenery outside, his eyes filled with sorrow and bitterness. The silence grew heavy. Seeing the deepening wrinkles on his father's face, Wang Ping felt a surge of pain and broke the silence, softly apologizing. Wang Lin turned and smiled gently, saying nothing more. The carriage entered Qishui City, the secondary capital of the great Qin Empire on Ran Yun Star. Bustling and prosperous, far beyond anything Wang Ping had seen before. The father and son entered an elegant restaurant and sat by the window. After the dishes were served, Wang Lin told Wang Ping they would settle here and buy a residence. Wang Ping smiled and agreed, remarking that after seeing mountains, rivers, and seas, returning to mortal life felt strangely grounding. Just then, a sneer came from a neighboring table. A richly dressed young man in purple spoke, accompanied by a white-haired elder and a spirited woman. Irritated that his junior sister had glanced at Wang Ping, he mocked him for being ignorant and pretentious. Seeing the woman's displeasure, he vented his anger on Wang Ping, publicly insulting him, saying his appearance was wasted on a man fit only to be a male prostitute. Repeated provocation made Wang Ping put down his chopsticks. Turning his head, he retorted that though the man had a handsome face, his inner nature was no different from a beast. This instantly enraged the white-haired elder. He scolded Wang Ping for lacking manners and flicked a pair of chopsticks toward his shoulders. Had they struck, Wang Ping's arms would have been crippled for life. But just as they reached him, they lost all force and lightly fell onto the table. Wang Lin set down his wine jug and cast a cold glance at the elder. With just that one look, it was as if countless thunderbolts exploded in the elder's mind. A terrifying force pierced his soul, instantly shattering his core formation. Though he was a core formation cultivator, his body froze, trembling uncontrollably. He spat out blood mixed with fragments of his shattered core and fell from his chair. In panic, he swallowed pills and crushed a communication jade slip to call for help. The entire restaurant fell into deathly silence. Guests hurriedly paid and left, while the purple-robed youth and the woman stood frozen in shock.